Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Archie's Briefings. I'm your host, Arshel Branch, and today, you guys, we are going to talk about, and this is shocking coming from my channel, but we are going to talk about Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce, and Ryan Reynolds, and what story had just came out of this whole relationship here. I was trying to avoid the Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, Taylor Swift. I was trying to avoid that story like the plague. Just for pure entertainment value, really, is where that story had that's all it had for me. It was just pure entertainment value. It felt like watching the plot of a Jackie Collins novel unravel. If you guys are Jackie Collins readers, then you know what I mean. How I wish she was still alive, because oh my goodness, it would have been an amazing book. But ultimately, there's something fascinating here that goes, in my opinion, beyond what happens with the Blake Lively and the Baldoni case. But why I feel, had it not been for Baldoni, we never would have had a confirmation that Taylor Swift and Kelce was all just manufactured. So without further ado, that's what we're going to talk about today. But before I go ahead and do that, you guys, if you are new to the channel, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell so that way you never miss an episode. You guys can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Archie Financial. So let's go ahead and let's talk about this manufactured relationship brought to us by none other than the Ryan Reynolds. Let's go ahead and let's talk about that, shall we? There is something that has been on my heart that I did want to discuss. Discipline is a huge part of being productive, being lucrative. I am not for anything that goes against true productivity, true sovereignty of the individual. The choices that we make are what's going to be up for judgment. All right, you guys. So, as I said in the opening, we are going to talk about this PR stunt that was Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. Again, allegedly, let me just throw that out. Everything that I'm saying is alleged. Well, not everything, but a few things that I'm saying is alleged. I'll be clear about that as I go forward. Um, but it was fascinating to me because, again, as I said, I was trying to avoid the Baldoni and Blake Lively situation. Pure entertainment, felt like a Jackie Collins novel, and I didn't really care to go further and further into that story. But the reason why I was so interested in this was because of a YouTube channel, So this particular YouTuber, I'm going to show you guys his video, and I hope I can remember to link it in the description box because I think everybody should go and watch it. But I do find that what he had to say was quite intriguing, very interesting, because if there's any truth to what he's saying, which I did double check a lot of his work, and there's some stuff there, there is some truth to what he is saying that gives credibility to his belief that Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce were, in fact, a manufactured PR stunt. That's all this was. And why I'm inclined to believe, going based off of that video, why Ryan Reynolds is a part of that. Now, before I play that video, let me just tell you guys why I'm so interested in this, because really that should have just added to the hype of, oh, this is just another portion of what makes this so juicy, why this would be perfect in a Jackie Collins novel or a Danielle Steele novel. I mean, or Judith Krantz, my goodness, those writers were fantastic, right? Those writers, Danielle Steele, Jackie Collins, Judith Krantz. I mean, I thought that's all this was. But no, the company that is involved in publishing the story about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, I'm going to get into the dates and timelines and all that a little later. The reason why this was so interesting is because the company that was involved in publishing that story is now facing a class action lawsuit. And that's why this is fascinating to me. Because if there's any truth to this guy's video, if there's any truth to the personality characteristics that we've been learning from watching the Candace Owens podcast, from watching Melanie King's podcast, from some of the stories that we've heard about Blake Lively and why people don't like her or Ryan Reynolds, okay, then it's not surprising that this class action lawsuit is even the case, and why I think it goes even further than what was actually filed in the lawsuit itself. So before I go any further in that, let me go ahead and let's run this YouTube video so that way you guys can see where my head is and why I think what I think and why he thinks what he thinks. Let's go ahead and let's run that video for you guys, shall we? Okay, you guys, so this is the YouTube channel. Well, this is the gentleman right here that did the video. His name is, I could be pronouncing it wrong. I hope I can remember to link it in the description box, but his name is Mohala Lagapa. I will try to remember to link it. You guys should definitely watch this video, but I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to play it because he kind of just breaks down everything that we're discussing today. So let's go ahead and let's run it, shall we?
Between Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift always felt a bit off. What if I told you that I think I have proof that this is not only a fake relationship, but a multi-level marketing insurance scheme? Now, if you watch the NFL, you'll notice a very specific commercial that plays at every single ad break. And no matter what the context of the ad is, it's always a State Farm ad. Now, we know that the NFL has a relationship with State Farm, and they've had one since about 2004 for over 20 years. But specifically, they've had one with the Kansas City Chiefs just over the last couple. And here is where things start to get weird. Now, we know that State Farm, like the rest of the country, is fully aware of the relationship between Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. But knowing something isn't capitalizing off of it. So one day, as a publicity stunt, Jake from State Farm linked up with Donna Kelce, Travis Kelce's mom, and it did exactly what it was supposed to do. It caught a lot of media attention, and nobody was really thinking anything of it. But I wanted to look into who set this up. And after just doing like a little bit of digging, it turns out that this media agency, Maximum Effort, was the ones who set this up. And their co-founder is Ryan Reynolds. So it was him to help set up Donna Kelce with Jake from State Farm to help State Farm capitalize off the relationship between Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. And that one mistake opened up the floodgates into the rest of this investigation. You see, I started getting curious as to when this relationship first started, or even who first reported it. When I stumbled across this tweet.
Okay, so before I let him go on, this tweet by The Messenger, okay, says exclusive. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are fully dating. Okay, they are fully dating. So that's when it was done by The Messenger. Okay, this is the company that is under the class action lawsuit right now. Okay,
one that broke the story, and then I saw this link, so I decided, let's just click it. And when I did, it brought me to this torn down URL website that read The Messenger. So I got curious and I wondered, what was The Messenger? And well, as it turns out, that The Messenger is the one who broke the news about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, and which I thought that was weird. So I looked into The Messenger, and it only turned out that they had only opened 4 months prior to breaking this news. And I was thinking to myself, how did a brand new publication have the inside scoop on the #1 pop star in the world? Somebody who spends millions of dollars a year on security. There's no way that this brand new publication got that inside scoop. Right. Until I looked into who owns The Messenger. And that's when I ran into a man named Jimmy Finkelstein, who owns and started the publication, who recently sold another publication for $130 million. But you see, the weirdest part about this publication, that it just broke this news about the world's biggest pop star just 4 months prior, 4 months after opening, is that only 4 months after that, they shut down completely, only lasting 8 months. So then I thought to myself, man, if I was Mr. Finkelstein, I'd be really angry. So I started looking up Mr. Finkelstein's statements on why the publication shut down, only to find out that it costed $50 million to start. Oh my God, I'd be so mad if it was $50 million that I used of my own money. That's the weird thing. See, it turned out after doing some digging that it was actually started by 5 donors that gave about $10 million each. First one is Josh Harris, or co-founder of Apollo Global, an investment firm that manages over $600 billion in assets. And it was his company who back in 2016 acquired ADT for about $7 billion. And then in 2022, State Farm acquired 15% equity ownership worth $1.2 billion in ADT. And I can go on and on about the other 4 founders that started the publication that got the inside scoop that's only 4 months old, that Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce were together. But no matter what road you take, they all have invested interest in hundreds of billions of dollars in State Farm. And that's not even the craziest part. See, every time I Googled Finkelstein, a woman named Pamela Gross Finkelstein would pop up. And the name next to it, every single time, was Blake Lively. Ryan.
Okay. I'm going to leave it there because I think that's enough for right now. But as you can clearly see, Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively, State Farm, is this gentleman's story correct when he says that this whole relationship was just a PR stunt, a marketing stunt to promote the insurance of State Farm? And you know, there is something to this because, as I said, after watching this gentleman's video, I did go and start trying to confirm or deny some of the, not so much confirm or deny, but either confirm that what he was saying was true or prove that what he was saying was not. It's like, okay, well, let me just do this. Let me double check. Let me see if there's any truth to this. But I'm going to link this in the description box so you guys can go and you can finish the whole thing. So we can go further into his theory as to why he thinks this was about an insurance claim. That's not my interest in this. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put an end to this video right here. Okay. Okay, guys. So you saw that gentleman's, let me just read that again. Okay. Mahala Lagapa. I think that's his name. Mahala Lagapa. I'm going to just link it because I'm trying to make sure I'm saying this correctly, but I don't know. And I apologize if I'm not saying it correctly, but I do think that his video was on point because he asked a lot of good questions. Okay. That company, the Messenger, okay, has a few investors. One of those investors being the ADT company, which State Farm has 15% ownership in. Another investor into this company, of course, you guys, I'm going to get this. It's Ryan Reynolds, you guys. It's Ryan Reynolds. He was one of the investors into this company. Okay. And State Farm itself was an investor into the company. So we know State Farm invested. We also know that Ryan Reynolds invested. We know that ADT invested, which State Farm has interest in as well. There are other investors as well. But let's this is fascinating. Fascinating. And why is this such a big deal, you guys? Because the company, The Messenger, is now facing a class action lawsuit for abruptly closing. Okay, abruptly closing, which tells me allegedly that this company had never any intention of going beyond the PR stunt. Okay, that they were only created for a specific amount of time, only created to last a certain period of time, just to get this relationship off the ground, just to get all the viewership and the hype about these two, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, just so that they could make all the bank that they needed to make off of this relationship. And the only reason why anybody cares about whether or not this is a PR stunt is because of everything that's going on with Baldoni. No wonder Taylor Swift wants to distance herself from the Blake Lively situation, right?
She did it! She did it! She's the one you want!
And so that takes us into the theory here, you guys, because let me just run down a couple of things because I did write down all the involvements when I double checked this gentleman's information. So he made the accusation that Ryan Reynolds was one of the investors. That turned out to be true. We already know that Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift are friends. Obviously, Taylor Swift is the godmother to his children with Blake Lively. We know that Ryan Reynolds knows Jimmy Finkelstein, I believe that gentleman's name is. Okay. Jimmy Finkelstein turns out to be the founder of the company, The Messenger. That turned out to be true. In that gentleman's video, you guys got to go watch the full video. He says that Jimmy, Ryan, Jimmy's wife, and Blake Lively all know each other. This is proven to be true. How do we know? Because Jimmy and Ryan have done business together. Okay. The particular business that they came into contact with was Ryan Reynolds' business, in which he's a co-founder in Maximum Effort Productions. This is his production company and marketing agency, where guess what? State Farm is, in fact, a client of Maximum Effort Production Company, the company owned by Ryan Reynolds, where he's a co-founder in as well. So already we're finding that there is a relationship between Ryan Reynolds and the founder of the company, The Messenger, that there's obviously a relationship between Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift, that there is a relationship between State Farm and the NFL, which means that they would have access to players because of their relationship with the NFL. And that because State Farm is, in fact, the client of Ryan Reynolds' company, Maximum Effort, and they pay for their advertising, of course, that they could make this happen. It was, in fact, Ryan Reynolds' company, Maximum Effort, that paid for the commercial or the publicity stunt between Jake from State Farm and Travis Kelce's mother. We also have that the Messenger launched in May of 2023. The Messenger published the story about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce being an item in September of 2023, okay? The one day after Taylor Swift appeared at the KC Chiefs game playing the Bears, she was all over the Jumbotron, and people were speculating that she was in a relationship with Travis Kelce. That following year, February 1st of 2024, the company shuts down. They'd only been open for 8 months, okay? 8 months. They announced the story of Taylor Swift, and then 4 months after they announced the story, it's gone. Like, wait a minute, what's going on? You were only open 4 months prior to you announcing the story, and then 4 months after the story gets announced, you go away. State Farm capitalizes off of the relationship between Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, being the fact that they are a client of Ryan Reynolds, his company, Maximum Effort, that there's an opportunity for his company to earn off of this as well. And let's talk about the Messenger founder, right? Let's talk about the founder, Jimmy. This man was the former owner of the company, the digital media company, The Hill. He sold that company for $130 million, okay, for over $100 million. So he already knows how to make a digital media company successful, yet somehow failed to make the Messenger just as successful. He manages to raise $50 million to invest into this new startup company. He invested none of his own money. Okay. And one of the investors turns out to be his good friend Ryan Reynolds, who he's known very well. And for some time prior to the starting of this company, he was able to get State Farm to invest, who happens to be part owner of ADT because they own 15% shares of that company. They also are a client of Ryan Reynolds. So there's a whole relationship here. And then State Farm has a relationship with the NFL, which means they have full access to players. Why am I alleging that this company was specifically created to promote this relationship so these people could benefit off of this? And people are going to look at me like I'm crazy, right? Oh, no, it's not true. It's a conspiracy theory, right? And so I think it's about time that we actually started to realize that Hollywood, and it's not that we don't even start to realize, I think we've known for quite some time. And I think we've kind of had an inkling that Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce were just a fake couple, right? This was just all fake. But why is it important now? Well, at least to me, it's because over 300 people were laid off. And it's quite possible because these individuals are so greedy, narcissistic, and self-absorbed that it did not matter to them that this was going to hurt 300 people. Again, this is allegedly, this is my theory, not the gentleman whose video I showed. His whole thing was this was all about promoting insurance, which that's exactly what this looks like, right? That's exactly what this looks like. But for me, my theory is that they specifically created this company, The Messenger, just to promote a relationship. And when that was done, there was no reason for this company to keep on going. That is my theory. This is all alleged, of course, but I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to pull up the class action lawsuit, at least the story from the Hollywood Reporter, so that we have a little bit more context to the class action lawsuit. Let's go ahead and let's pull that, shall we? Okay, guys, so this is the story here by the Hollywood Reporter. It says The Messenger sued by ex-workers over mass layoffs without any notice. Hundreds of workers at the national digital news site were laid off Thursday without severance. The story was posted on their website February 1st of 2024. So I don't want you guys to think this just happened. This was last year. But the reason why this is coming up today is because there was that guy on YouTube, and I found it incredibly fascinating as well. So it reads, just a day after folding, embattled startup The Messenger has been sued by former employees. The proposed class action filed in New York federal court Thursday alleges that the Jimmy Finkelstein-led news outlet failed to give more than 300 employees proper notice of their terminations in violation of the state's Worker Adjustment and Retraining Notifications Act, aka the WARN Act, which requires at least 90 days notice before any massive layoffs. Workers at the Messenger discovered Wednesday that the company was shutting down for good from the New York Times. Like, they weren't even given the common courtesy, okay? They had to find out from a news article. Hours later, the site only returned with a white screen with the Messenger and an email address. No articles could be searched. Employees are not receiving severance pay. So not only were they not given the 90 days, which the WARN Act, okay, says that they are supposed to get, they were not even given any severance. They need the 90 days, okay, so they can continue receiving paychecks as well as the time to find other jobs. My theory here is that Jimmy, the reason why he didn't invest any of his own money is because he knew there was never really any intention here to have this be a long-term thing. And essentially, guys, I think that was the deal that was made here. I think Ryan Reynolds used his wife's best friend, Taylor Swift, the relationship there to get her to say yes to a PR stunt where everybody could benefit from this, right? Where he and his marketing company could benefit, Maximum Effort Productions, where his friend, which is Taylor Swift, could also benefit from this because she started receiving more ads specifically from State Farm, so she could earn from State Farm from that. Travis Kelce got money out of this because obviously you started to see him in the State Farm advertisement. Come on, you guys. Like, no wonder Taylor Swift wanted to be distanced from the Baldoni thing, because the more stuff that came out about Taylor Swift's character, how inauthentic she is, how mean she could be, how narcissistic she could be, not a far leap to assume that the woman would take a paycheck by promoting a fake relationship. No wonder she wants to distance herself from Blake Lively. No, I don't want to have anything to do with you, woman. Leave me out of this.
Don't talk to me! Don't talk to me, criminal!
Now, as it relates to the class action lawsuit and why this has become important to me to acknowledge, because again, I was not trying to talk about the whole Baldoni and Blake Lively. Anyway, I'm not really talking about that. I'm speaking to Hal Baldoni's case made the question of Taylor Swift and Kelce more suspicious. Like, are they even a real thing? And looking at the behaviors of Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift, it does add to the idea that they would do whatever, use whomever to get what it is that they want. And so it is not surprising that there is a company, The Messenger, that was specifically created to promote Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. Was this company specifically created to be a temporary operation, which I'm alleging is the case? There was never any intention for this company to go on long term. That the reason why it never had any attention was because the person who was the founder, Jimmy Finkelstein, okay, or Finkelstein. Yeah, so Jimmy Finkelstein or Finkelstein, you go ahead, call it whatever you want. Finkelstein, potato, call the whole thing off. I think this man had enough expertise and enough capital, $50 million, to have a startup company in an industry that he knows a lot about because he was the founder of The Hill, okay? He created The Hill. He was obviously able to make this profitable and very successful because it's still standing to this day. He was able to sell it for over $100 million, and he couldn't bring that expertise to this new company, The Messenger, with Ryan Reynolds and State Farm and ADT, very big names, okay, from individuals to businesses, okay, including himself. You have the expertise and the money, and you couldn't make this work. You had no intention of this being long-term at all. Okay. Part of the suspicion here is that they didn't have a clear business model. They didn't know what to do about subscriptions. The man comes from digital media background. That is what he did. That is what he owned prior to him investing in The Messenger, which he didn't even invest in. He used other people's money, which doesn't have to be suspicious if it didn't include Ryan Reynolds. Okay. If it didn't include Ryan, it didn't include State Farm, and State Farm wasn't able to capitalize off this relationship, this would be a whole different story. But for me, guys, there are facts here, okay? The fact is, Ryan Reynolds' company, Maximum Effort Productions, which is a production company and a marketing agency as well. State Farm is their client, okay? It's Ryan Reynolds' client for the Maximum Effort Production Company and marketing agency, okay? That Ryan Reynolds does know Jimmy Finkelstein, okay? He does know them. And him and his wife, Jimmy and his wife, are friends with Blake Lively and Ryan. That obviously Blake, Taylor, and Ryan are all friends, right? This is how this goes. State Farm has had a contract or some business relationship with the NFL, which gives them access to football players, and that they've been specifically focused on KC. They're the ones that have been in the ads most of the time, okay? I don't see Giants up in there. I don't see the Eagles up in there. I don't see any other coaches, okay? Just the KC Chiefs, okay? It's just the Chiefs that are getting promoted with State Farm, okay? And look, it's Blake Lively's best friend, Taylor Swift, whose boyfriend is getting promoted. It's Taylor Swift's boyfriend's team that is getting the promotions, okay, with State Farm. And State Farm is connected to Ryan Reynolds. State Farm is connected to The Messenger because they are an investor. They are connected in a lot of ways here. And Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, this was just a PR stunt so that multiple people can benefit from this. And considering with everything that we've learned about the characteristics, okay, the personality traits of these people, Ryan Reynolds, Taylor Swift, these are not nice people. They are not good people, okay? They are willing to screw over anybody to get what they want. And it does not surprise me at all that this BS company that, in my opinion, and allegedly, okay, was specifically created to only operate on a temporary basis. They lied and said that this was supposed to go on longer than it was supposed to, and all these people are out of work. Over 300 employees are out of work. They were not given severance pay. They were not given the 90-day notice, which violates the Warrant Act. And if they had the opportunity to prove that this was all nonsense, they had the ability to prove that this company was specifically created on a temporary basis, then this could be added to the lawsuit, frankly, if they could prove it. I can't prove it, but there is an assumption here. I don't think 8 months, you're only open for 8 months and then you close, and the founder comes from The Hill. He used to be the owner of The Hill. Are you kidding me? Yeah, nah. You had the money. You had the experience. You should have been able to make this a success. And we're in 2025. This should still be able to go on. And don't tell me that you couldn't make it work within 8 months when everybody knows the first 2 years of a startup company, they struggle the most. 8 months, I'm not convinced. When you had all this money, big names, big investments, and the experience. You're just not going to convince me that this thing was not created specifically to promote a stunt and then close, which puts 300 people out of work. This had to look legitimate, so that way they looked legitimate. And it was all just a bunch of lies. you guys get in the comment sections and let me know what you think about this, because there are 300 people or more, I believe is what the article said, more than 300 people who are out of work. This case is still ongoing. And I don't know if Ryan Reynolds is going to go down for this, but it does show that these people don't care about nobody but themselves. Get in the comments, let me know what you think. Again, you guys, you can follow me on TikTok and Instagram at Archie Financial. I want to hear what you guys have to say about this. What do you think? Because, yeah, I was flabbergasted and went on a tangent trying to confirm everything that Mahala had to say about this. I will link that in the description box because, it's crazy. Thank you all for watching. You guys have a good night. God bless. And Kepla.